welcome to SoulWhat, a Soultopia podcast. I am Michelle Welch.
And I'm Roger Welch. So, what's up today, Michelle?
Well, today we are going to talk about predictions and psychics and how they miss certain things that should be obvious,
Yeah.
such as pandemics, perhaps.
Pandemics.
Yes.
Gotcha.
I got to thinking about it because I told you after, like at the new year, we always have a thing called bracelets and bellinis,
Yep.
and we do a bead for each month, and I couldn't do it. Do you remember that?
Yep. It was kind of a tough one for us to. It was usually normally for us, we kind of blast through it. It's easy. It's kind of smooth, and then we're like, you were like just couldn't get through it.
I couldn't do it. I just kept thinking. A lot of people were saying what a good year it was going to be. It was going to be a great year. And every month, I just kept coming up with really negative things. And I just kept coming up with kind of not doomsday, not end of the world, things like that. But I just couldn't hop on it's going to be
You
a
just
great
didn't get
year.
a great vibe.
No,
Out
I
of things.
didn't. I am not what I would call an astrologer. There are experts in that. Some friends of mine, Monty Farber, people here that read, Frances May, different astrologers. I'm leaving I'm sure some of our friends out, I'm sure. But
Probably.
that are, specialize in astrology. That would not necessarily be me for sure. I dabble in it, but I don't know if any astrologist, said that the planets or the transits or whatever were aligning for something, but I just felt it. But yet, you don't want to be that doomsday reader. And so I thought it was. So I said to you, as time went on, starting to read into. Then I do these things called forecast readings, and so I asked you, how am I going to do these? And you just said, just break it down into each month and whatever's going on, just personally in their lives, right?
Yep.
And so I did. And then when everything started going down in February, and Roger and I believe we totally had this, you guys, we think we had this in December. And we were saying this as early as December, January, that there was something we had, that it was just weird. It was something.
It lasted for like 3 weeks.
In fact, when we were in Tucson and everything broke about China and that was really big and everybody was talking about it, we looked at Erica and said, that's what we had. And she even said, I guarantee you that's what you had. So, and at that point, I was like, I don't know how to read for people. And I really didn't want to give any readings because I just didn't know how, in the middle of something so serious, how do you just read? Because everything just seems to be circling around that. But people still need readings. Life goes on, and they still care about not only their jobs but their health. They still care about their kids and their, love life and everything else. But it was very difficult for me, right?
Yeah.
For a couple things moved pretty quickly for me for a couple days or week. So I decided we should do a show on, does that, the fact that somebody, if a psychic, and there's different kinds of readers. Okay, so there's readers who will read cards, and they read the cards, and they don't claim to be, their state maybe doesn't even allow them, their jurisdiction allow them to claim to be fortune tellers, quote unquote, or psychics. They don't claim to be either. They don't claim to be predictive, what I call predictive readers.
Right.
Okay, so they will take the cards and their knowledge of reading cards, and they will tell you what the cards say. Right?
Yeah.
And then there are those who are predictive readers.
Fortune tellers.
Well, predictive readers. Yeah. And that would be, I would fall under the category of I do both. I will tell you what the cards say, but I also am a predictive reader. And you might want to call that maybe an oracle, a prophet. I used to be told that was the gift of prophecy and discernment. So there have been a lot of those throughout. We've talked about that before.
Right.
Throughout forever. You know, it goes back for as long as, you know, as history goes back, right?
All right.
So a lot of people will say, as if you talk broadly and generally enough about things, you're going to eventually hit on something correct, right?
True.
So that's the, so I thought we might talk about that today, and you and I thought this might be a good topic. Number one, what were some of the predictions made about, was there anybody that predicted, maybe famous, that predicted the coronavirus or COVID-19?
Right.
And we'll go through some of those. And also, just the whole topic to me is very interesting of what I asked some of my clients to be very candid with me about readings I had given them. People who have a lot of money in the stock market, people who have been very affected, maybe some who their jobs have been affected. And I wanted to know, do you now consider me a sham reader? What do you think of me as a reader if that did not come up in your reading? So I polled some of my clients, and I wanted very honest answers. And I'm going to let you guys know what they told me. So which one do you want to hear first?
Well, let's hear it. What
Okay.
did they say?
So for that, because it really is interesting to me, it's like, does it discredit you? And I wanted to know, as a reader, I don't want to, I know that whole story of ever since I was a little baby, I've, been psychic, that everybody says, I've had this forever. Okay, so I know that. I don't have to convince anybody, but I need to convince myself. If I've missed something really big, then I don't want to keep doing it. If there's something that I've missed, and maybe to someone's detriment.
Yeah.
And so one of the people I talked to, I'm just going to say they are very candid, and they said, absolutely not. You're a great reader. You've always been pretty spot on with me, that term spot on. And I never asked you about that. And I said, yeah, but you asked me about business things, business matters. And he said, this is he, just said, but no, but I just...
You hit like 50% of the
50%.
population.
Okay, it's a he. It's a he. But absolutely just said, put that out of your mind. That would never change my mind of you as a reader, at all. And so then I talked to someone else, and I said, same question. And they said, why are you even going down that path? And I said, because it just seems like that's something that should come up. And they said, well, even if it did come up and you had said to me, this is going to happen, is that something you would really want to tell someone? And I said, well, yeah, I would want to. I would want to say, I think something is probably going to go down this year. It's not going to be so great. And I would perhaps be very cautious on how you're spending your money. I looked back at some of the things I have written in my journal and some of the things I've told people. And this person looked back, and I had actually told them that, to be cautious with their money and to be more protective with their money. And so this person told me that I had actually told them to be more protective with their money. And so it was something to start thinking about there too. But I think it's just something that, people might want to chime in about. I think skeptics, people that are just flat out skeptical from the beginning, that would never go to a psychic in the first place, would probably say, yeah, it makes you a fraud. They probably would just go straight to that. Yeah, if you should have known. Everybody should have known. If you didn't see that coming, that makes you a fraud. Because they're the ones who actually will make all the jokes of, well, you should know. If I say, well, how much is my bill? Well, don't you know? You're a psychic. They make those really lame jokes. But I think that, well, first of all, those are lame.
Yeah.
We've heard them all. But, so do you get where I'm going with this?
So, yeah, I do actually. But think about it another way too. Let's say, so your messages come through from spirit guides and energy and things, right?
Higher self.
Higher self?
And guides primarily, yeah.
So let's say pretty much anything and everything are the Akashic records. Everything and
Right.
anything's there, right?
Right.
Including the future.
Exactly.
Okay, so if you think about it, what if this future outcome that they really want to happen and how this is, and they want it to happen, all these things have to fall in alignment to make it happen. It's kind of like our in game. You know, Doctor Strange goes and he goes through all the different scenarios to figure out how to defeat Theos, right? So they had to figure out what all had to happen and fall in. That's why in Endgame, all the people had to die so they all could come back, so they could all defeat.
Okay.
So everybody kind of holds back and doesn't allow you to see this type of or this issues or these things going on clearly as what on some things you could see.
So you're saying that perhaps some things were withheld from my vision because
Of what the outcome of what they're looking for as an outcome. So like these things have happened in a series so that down the road, I didn't say Siri, sorry about that. No Siri.
So let me see if I'm getting it right. So you're saying that maybe things were hidden from the view of people who are readers because it's something that they were maybe esoteric secrets, things we were not meant to see because we were meant to walk through them and we might have, and it was meant to happen.
Yeah, meant to happen because of what their outcome is going to be. So like, I mean, we've had pandemics, not as bad as this. This one's not. It's not that it's like.
Well, be careful.
I know, but it's like it's very, contagious. Is kind of the biggest thing because it's so easily passed from person to person to person to person.
Yeah.
But it doesn't kill everybody. It's very
killed a lot. Just
yeah, it has killed
what's
a
your
lot,
point?
but it hasn't. But what if this is to get you through, to get people prepared. I'm just saying, prepared for something that maybe in the future that is actually much worse.
It could be.
I mean, that's just, or maybe it's to tell people, hey, guess what? You're not as invincible as you think you are. Mm-hmm. Cut it down a little bit here.
Yeah, so it was
And
meant
not
to
people
happen.
that, mm-hmm. So it's something, yes, it's bad and yes, and everything about it, but it could be a whole lot worse.
So maybe
It could be
the
like,
consequences
we're
were
going to
meant
talk about in a minute, people turning everybody into zombies, like everybody's been sitting around waiting for zombies to pop up.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay. You haven't seen those memes where people are like, where the hell is the zombies? Is anybody out there not waiting for the zombies? Let me see. Hell yes. See there? Told you.
Okay.
Somebody's waiting for zombies.
I just can't watch any of those zombie shows when I'm eating. That's all I know. Because they gross me out. But that's a good point, though. It's a good point that I do think some things are not revealed to readers because of that. I don't think that that's an excuse. I think that that's truth.
Yeah.
Even when you open Akashic Records, you don't see everything. You see, even though they do contain the history of past, present, future, and every energy, including corporations and countries. You can open the Akashic Records of those, probably even of illnesses, to be honest.
Yeah.
You could probably open that because that's an energy being. If you thought about it,
Yeah.
we probably could open the Akashic Record of that. Now that I think about it, but you probably, so that's another reason. But if I was coming up from a skeptic's view, I would think, see, it's all bunk because they didn't get that message, right?
Right.
But if I come at from a somewhat of a believer's viewpoint, I would think, did they know it and didn't tell me? Mm-hmm. And I'll just say, I had a feeling about the year, but I certainly didn't know this.
So what I was looking for here,
I think somebody could actually have predicted this would eventually happen.
Yeah.
But that's just common sense.
So somebody.
I don't think that's being psychic.
Okay, so you got two people on here, and I was waiting for. I actually asked one of them if I could read this and say
There's
her name,
only
but
two
she did.
people on there?
No. That said something, and I won't say their name because they haven't said. Let me double check here. No, she hasn't said it's okay to say her name yet. But listen, things you said, talking about you, in the year overview about health and looking after others' health in March, continuing into April makes a lot of sense in hindsight. So you did tell this person, about the overview of health and looking over other people's health, which is what she is doing. Okay.
Okay.
I remember you, this is somebody else. I remember you saying something about this year being a bit rough. And you said that in January, maybe December. You told this person that it was going to be a rough year.
Yeah.
So she's like, yep.
Yeah, so I do remember
So-
that. And so I was just, it was interesting because, you have all these psychics and you would think somebody, and I'm not typically the kind that speaks like in an oracle way for everyone in the world. So there's those kind of
The ones
oracles
that put it out that's very,
like a Nostradamus type,
Yeah.
I'm not that, like, this is what I foresee for the whole world. I typically give more specific messages to a person, but so it may have come out in the messages, but it just got me thinking, and it really did make me question, to be honest. I'm always going to question what I do, and I always want to be valid in what I do. And it did make me kind of go, does this mean it's BS? That not it's BS, because I know it's not, but should this have something that I should have picked up on more? And now am I going to be looking around every time, is there something big I'm missing?
right?
We were all, I think, looking at elections and things like that, and feeling how that might affect us. But yeah, so I think everybody understands the point.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I did poll several people. If I thought about putting it on Intuitive Insights. I'd still like people's feedback, because there's a lot of people who get readings and a lot of people who give readings in that group, and it'd be interesting to know what people think about it, because the truth of the matter is that nobody's exactly right all the time, because if we were, we'd be running the world.
So what else did you find out? Who else did
About,
you talk to? Who else did you do readings for?
well, who else did I asked? Anybody that I asked, there were just a couple more people that I had time. They were just like very, and I asked them not to be encouraging. Like, tell me the truth. I mean, like, do I need to keep doing? They were like, no, of course but they kind of were like the people on there. They said, no, you actually did kind of say some things. I said, but I know I didn't to everybody. And I think anything could be interpreted in hindsight that maybe that meant something about this. And maybe it did. But you also can read things into something,
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just always look at what I do, and I just want to examine it, and I want to examine and question it. I have faith about it, because I think that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Well, I know I am, but at the same time, I just want to be the best I can be at what I'm doing too. Right?
A little competitive?
And it's not competitive. I am competitive.
A little bit. You still want to be the best. I get that.
I am competitive, but I actually want to be professional. I want to grow as much as I can possibly grow, and everybody who works here, I want to do the same. I want to make sure that we're the real deal. I don't want it to be
you want to be good about
phony.
it, and you want to be fair about it, and actually be honest with people.
Yeah, and so I am pretty honest with people. Well, not pretty. I am honest with people, especially when it's coming through, with the channels coming through really clearly. And for me, you can typically tell that when I was saying this other day, when my ums go away. So
You stop
that's when
umming.
I'm channeling. I don't always channel on this show, because there are clearly a lot of ums.
You got your little tally markers.
Yeah. Drink every time I say
Oh, that's a good drinking game. We're going to rewatch all these and drink
I haven't. We literally drove through where yesterday.
Mina's.
So Mina's in Carrollton, Texas. Carrollton, Texas is so good.
Gotta have
Mexican
the
food.
Mexican food.
And now you can drive through and get your margarita, your mango margarita. And I had, one sip?
She had one sip of hers.
I had got it all worked, and then I even put like just a little tiny.
I
and
even
was
got her
"Here
a
it is."
fancy glass to put it in.
Got in and
I drank mine out of the styrofoam cup it came in.
And I got a fancy glass. I even took a picture because I haven't had one drink, and it just, ugh, no, just didn't. I don't know.
Even sprinkled the little, peppers in it.
You said it was hot. What was it? Hot.
It's the hot
peppers.
pepper. Yeah.
I said, "Is this paprika?"
She thought it was paprika.
I don't know. Clearly what I'm putting in a drink, but so how crazy a world is it that you can drive through where you're not even supposed to have
Maybe that's the ultimate
open
outcome
container.
of all of this.
that you can have.
I'm just saying.
Well, it's essential, that's for
It's
sure.
essential.
Damn
It might
straight.
be
Well,
pretty good.
especially when we drove to Walmart yesterday, which, by the way, with the extended add-on episode of Tiger King, which we did watch,
Yes.
they concluded that the one place that everybody hung out from Tiger King was Walmart, and I said,
It's
well,
the
that's
middle of Oklahoma. There's nothing else
it doesn't
there
matter.
but
It's
Walmart.
everybody hangs out at Walmart now because there's nowhere else to go. And you took me to Walmart yesterday because I haven't been really, I've not gone anywhere. And so we went to Walmart and we drove in the parking lot, and I'm just going to say that I dropped a bad word because he pulls in the parking lot, and I said, "What the?" Because there were cars everywhere.
It was just as busy as any other
I
day.
was like, what? I thought we were in some sort of quarantine. We're supposed to be staying at home.
Well, here's the thing.
It was like party at the Walmart.
So I did read that when the adjusted, so many people per square feet and all that. So like that
Please.
Walmart up there is about 500 people is all can be in it at one time.
Please,
Oh,
it
there was
doesn't-
way more than 500
And
people
she's
in that
counting
store.
them when they're coming in. Please, it doesn't matter. So here's the thing. Here's some really, let me just say, here's some really stupid things that have come out of this whole thing. One thing is you turn the corner in the Walmart, unless you have one of the tractor backup things that are going beep, 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 beep. I'm coming around the corner. Somebody can come around the corner right into you, first of all. Then you're going through to get your food because that's essential, and you're passing dirty cash money back and forth to each other, and they're using their gloves, and they're not changing them, and then they're touching your food. This is illogical.
Hold up. And I agree with you 100%. The other Walmart. Let's talk about the other Walmart I went to today.
See, he goes.
Sorry, I had to go get
He
stuff.
probably needs to be. I think he buys one strawberry at a time.
The other,
Seriously.
so at least this Walmart, they had all the entrances closed except for the
obey.
one. They had one entrance where you come in and back out. Supposedly they're counting you. The other Walmart, they had all the entrances open. You could come and go. They had them blocked, kind of, like the cattle gates, but you could come and go out of one end, out of the other side, in the other side. They're not counting
Well,
anybody.
let me tell you the
They
essential
weren't counting
items that he
anybody.
got. The essential items. He bought me a couple puzzles.
I got you puzzles. They're essential.
My sanity.
Some clearance Easter candy.
Some peeps.
Some Peeps.
Essential.
Chocolate eggs.
Essential.
And, pastel colored M&Ms.
Essential.
See? It all works. It's all essential.
Got to keep the Walmart open. Now, nobody's going to find that funny when you give them all COVID. No, that's not funny. But seriously, I have been staying in. He's a little bit restless, but his other job's making him going into everybody's houses anyway. So
Yep.
there we have it.
That's
All right,
okay.
so let's talk about some of these supposed people who predicted this virus.
Okay, sure.
You want to talk about the first one? Or do you want to talk about the second one?
Well,
I'll talk about the first one.
Talk about the first one.
Okay. So, well, you know more about Nostradamus than I do. So we have
Michel de Nostradamus. Yes.
Michel. So Nostradamus, you guys have heard of this. He was an astrologer, actually. And so he lived in France. He was known mainly for this book called Les Prophéties. I'm sure I pronounced that exactly right. And so he predicted a whole bunch of stuff that now people say, he was one of the best prophets, predicted all kinds of stuff that has come true. Roger believes that. You believe he's predicted. You think he's
Yeah, I mean,
great.
because I think he's got I think there's a lot of BS in there too, but if you look at some of the ones like World War II, I mean, if you read the ones about, about Hitler and everything, the only difference is he said Histler instead of Hitler.
Well, and a lot of these, by the way, I did pull a lot of this. You can do a lot of research, or you can go to Snopes.com, and I'll cut to it. But I did a lot because I like to research. But I do want to say that Snopes.com has a lot of this. But this virus, he did not predict. They looked through it. It wasn't really specifically expressed, and they found no mention of this virus at all. Their whole premise is, and a lot of people's premise is, if you throw enough stuff against the wall, kind of like we say in law, if you throw enough things up against the wall, something's going to stick. So if you say enough theories and you predict enough things, kind of cold reading, you just throw one thing after another up there, something will end up being right. Okay, but anyway, on this one, he did not predict it. You want to go to the next one?
Actually, I'm going to just, in my boredom at home when she's making me stay at home.
You don't stay at home.
Oh, yeah. But when one of my bored days at home, and I can't remember, it's either Hulu, Netflix, Amazon, one of them, but there's a show on there about a book that was released after his death. And it makes really cool tarot cards because there is a book, but it has a prediction, which a lot of these predictions have actually come true too. But it's like a prediction and then like a drawing. But they can't figure out who wrote the book, whether it was Nostradamus, his son, or somebody that just tried to make it, look like his writing. But it's actually a really cool show. They've never figured out the book. And the reason I bring that up is the book was found much later. Okay, but it is dated back to his, after his death.
Yeah.
And so they're not sure, where the book came from, but it actually has a lot, but has the writing and then the pictures too.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so it was actually a really cool show. Because I know there's shows galore about him and, about him. But this one was about this one book and how it all came about and a lot of the prophets there. And actually some of his prophecy stuff that he wrote too.
Do you want to talk about Sylvia Brown?
So the next one is Sylvia Brown, and a lot of people have actually, have posted this one on Facebook, the little blurb here. It says, in around 2020, a severe pneumonia-like illness will spread throughout the globe, attacking the lungs, the bronchial tubes, and resisting all known treatments. So actually,
I like the last part.
Oh, almost. What does it say?
Almost more baffling than the illness itself will be the fact that it will suddenly vanish as quickly as it arrived, attack again 10 years later, and then disappear completely.
Mm-hmm. So just to verify.
Oh, you want to hold it?
Yeah, they can see it from there, but here you go. We have the book. Actually, one of my other days I was home, I was putting stuff away and found this book out of the billion books we got at the house.
The billion books we have.
Billion books Michelle has.
Well, you do have books. You have books on Sasquatch and
yeah, but mine take up one
aliens
shelf about this big.
Yeah, but
yours take up like 8 bookcases.
Yeah. So.
All right. So anyway, I did look here, and it says even in the book, and this book was 2008, right?
I think you said yeah.
Yeah, 2008. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
In around 2020, a severe pneumonia-like illness spread through the globe, attacking the lungs and bronchial tubes, resisting all known treatments.
That's what you just read.
Yep. And it does say it, almost baffling. The illness itself, in fact, suddenly vanished as quickly as it arrived. Attack again in 10 years.
So
yeah, so it does say it exactly in here, just like that.
So one of the things about this, did you want to talk about it?
So this is actually what's kind of cool about it is well, also this book was written when the SARS breakout was, right?
Well, she knew about the SARS breakout.
Yeah.
So it was written after the SARS outbreak.
Yeah.
So some people would say, okay, so something like that had already happened. So it would be, like I was saying earlier, it wouldn't take a psychic to know that eventually something like this was going to happen.
Right.
So it's common sense to know eventually something like this. There's shows on TV. There's that show Pandemic. I mean, I was watching it, like I don't know when, around Christmas,
Yeah.
January. Now I won't watch it, but and we don't know whether that last part of that will bear out. I hope it will. At least the fact that it'll just disappear, right?
Now I wanted to actually, because I would glance through this real quick too. Some other stuff that she threw in here.
Yeah.
The year 2020 will mark the end of the U.S. presidency and the executive branch of the government.
Be interesting.
Yeah. But actually, the other one I saw, in around 2018, worldwide seismic activity will result in a rash of volcanoes and earthquakes.
Yeah.
We've actually had a lot of that. There was a volcano the other day.
Right. We've been having a lot of it,
Wait,
though.
Atmospheric dust will create the pollution to disrupt crop failures in the early 2020s. So there was actually quite a bit of stuff. Even because we were talking about it today, there were some crop issues with crops and livestock and things too.
Right. One of the things about her that got her in trouble was she was on, I think it was Montel Williams, and she had told a lady that their daughter, they were looking for their daughter, and she had kind of broken the news to them that their daughter who was missing was dead. And I believe I have this right. And their daughter was actually found alive later. I believe I have that the right way. So she misled them. Anyway, this Sylvia Brown did die, passed away in 2013, I believe. But she did get, for that one particular situation, I believe it was the Montel Williams show, she got in quite a bit of trouble for that. What was interesting is some people start combining some of these stories together. So Dean Koontz is a writer that I read quite a few of his books, and he writes a lot of interesting stories, and it's another one that is people have wondered, did he predict the virus in this book, The Eyes of Darkness? And a lot of people, what they've done is they've put her quote alongside his book.
Yeah.
Her quote that we read earlier does not go with this book, but what was in his book is this a biological weapon that was named Wuhan 400. The interesting thing about it was a weapon, like a biological weapon. And in the original, let me see if I can get this right. And in that novel, The Eyes of Darkness, it was 100% fatality rate, so it killed everybody. And so there were a lot of differences. Okay, so basically this is proved to be, no, he did not predict it. It was a biological weapon. And the interesting thing is that the original name for it was Gorky 400, which was a Russian city was created. And like in 1981, and then they changed the name to Wuhan 400. By 2008, the name had been changed to Wuhan 400, which is the Chinese city. I found that to be.
So why did they
just in and
change
of
it from a Russian to
Nobody's
Chinese?
really explained it. It just changed when a different publication came out, and I find that in and of itself kind of fascinating. But there is not any kind of prediction about a virus. It's more that the similarities of the city Wuhan that got changed in 2008.
So I did read some on this before, I don't know, a few
Mm-hmm.
weeks ago, but they were talking about that Sylvia's quote part of it about the virus kind of led him into some of this part, kind of inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
So, just another thought though, but in Nostradamus, his predictions is the Great Third War is actually from a rising of a military of over 2 million
Mm-hmm.
soldiers. And the only country with 2 million soldiers is
China.
China. So
Well, and
maybe
they're
he
building
took
their
some of
military
that.
right now.
Yeah, so he took some of that type where they have, they have like a large population and maybe that course, maybe.
Yeah, and a lot of his stuff kind of ties into Revelations, just so you know, in the Bible too. It's kind of
Yeah.
interesting. So, so they kind of tied to get people kind of get their books messed up a little bit, and they start tying her quote into this book, and so then that gets a little funky too.
Well, you
So
could probably take little parts and pieces out of a lot of books and put it together and make it sound really cool.
fake news.
Fake news.
All right. So
I'm gonna take the. Never mind. I'm not gonna say that. You'll get
okay,
mad
so
at
go
me.
with the Simpson one. That's next.
Well, the Simpson. There's been a. Where the hell is that? Did I overlook it? Oh, here
No,
it is.
Yeah, starts on the bottom of that one page.
Oh, here it is. Simpsons. All right. So in January 2020, a rumor started circulating on social media that the long-running sitcom The Simpsons had predicted the outbreak of the new coronavirus.
You're not gonna read the whole thing, are you?
Nah.
Okay.
The first three panels of the image going.
No, you don't.
Oh,
don't read
that's it.
Okay.
Okay. Apocalypse. Meow.
So tell what's going on here.
So
because
actually, this
I
is
thought
act-
this was true. I thought that they really did like predict the coronavirus, and I think that
Yeah.
said that on the show one time. So what's this real scoop?
So what happens is a lot of people will take these images like this one, and they will go over the apocalypse now, and they start changing the words to it. Did you put the other one on there?
I don't know if I did or not.
Yeah, the actual one that was in the people say
I
it
don't think it
predicted
did. Yeah.
Yeah, it actually it said something else, not apocalypse.
Yeah. So I don't think it is. So what they do is they change it like
Yeah.
a meme or
Yeah.
whatever, and they change the words.
It's
and
kind of like a
doctor it up.
what was it last year before when they were showing and it was Donald Trump and two other guys and they were around this globe thing and that was that and they were this was released 7 years ago. No, it wasn't. It was the actual cartoon part of it was after that had happened.
Oh, okay.
So a lot of times people will throw in that this prediction of this from The Simpsons. All of a sudden, they're predicting the future.
Okay.
So
So this was actually originally it did read Apocalypse Meow, and they changed this to
To say-
say coronavirus is
Yeah.
what my understanding is. And it says there was one episode in 1993
the
that,
Osaki.
that focused on a viral outbreak, but that they said the Snopes says, the interesting thing about that is that's not that hard to do. We've had pandemics. We've had the Spanish flu. We've had Hong Kong flu, Asian flu, all these different things. So predict this. That's not that hard to do. That there
Right.
might be some other. So they're, again, saying, yeah, not so true.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, wow, the Simpsons, they predict everything. They're the best psychics in the world.
Man, they got
So-
some hellacious writers over
That's
there.
what I was thinking. Whoever that is that's who I'm going to go to as a
Yeah.
psychic. So,
No, they do. I mean, and there's another one where they're walking. I mean, they have like several of them over the year, and they get changed up a little bit.
but they are creative, though. I mean, you got it.
Yeah,
I've
they are.
never watched it, but from what I hear,
What?
they are.
What the
I
hell's
told
wrong
you
with
that.
you?
Seriously,
Seriously.
I didn't let my kids watch it.
We're watching
We've gone over
Simpsons
this
tonight.
before.
I think by the weekend we could finish all the episodes if we
I
just
don't
start
even
tonight.
know about the blue hair. Was that Madge or
What?
Marge or what was her name?
Madge,
What was-
Marge.
Marge, yeah. Yeah. So the next one is there's this show in South Korea, and it's called My Secret, and I'm not sure how to pronounce this, Terrius. And so how a lot of these rumors come about, obviously, is through social media, right? So, and so somebody posted, this is crazy. If you are home, go on Netflix now, type My Secretarius and go to season 1 and episode 10 and move straight to 53 minutes, point whatever. P.S. This season was made in 2018 and we are in 2020. This is shocking. Was it a plan? And so they're showing, so what they're saying is, obviously, this was made in 2018 and they're predicting something because supposedly they showed characters using the word coronavirus. So this was a scene, and this, you can go on Snopes and you can play it. This was a scene from the show. So it says, while many people may have only heard the word coronavirus for the first time in 2020, it has actually been around for decades. And we know that by now, right? That's why they've changed it. They've changed it to COVID-19. They've set us all straight. That actually, human coronaviruses were known in humans in the 1960s. Since then, we've seen MERS, MERS, Middle East Respiratory. We've seen SARS. And so in a longer version of this clip, the TV doctor explains how these diseases all came from the same group of viruses. So basically, those are different than COVID-19. And so in the show, someone tweaked the virus in order to make it more deadly and all that kind of stuff. So the bottom line is the show wasn't being highly predictive as it may seem. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay, without going too far into it. Of course, I haven't watched this South Korean show, but to get totally off the subject, the best shows on TV
Is The Simpsons.
are Money Heist.
Okay. That's from Spain.
From Spain, seasons 1 through 3. If you haven't watched it, you must. And I'm not kidding. And Sabura from Italy.
That's good. You missed
I'm not
one.
kidding. While you're home, Money Heist 1 through 3. It is like the Netflix, besides, I guess, now Tiger King.
I was going to say, you better throw it in.
Best sellers. It's like, if y'all, seriously, have y'all watched Money Heist? Because y'all are behind.
Money Heist is
if
good.
You haven't. It is
it's good.
incredible. So,
But
has
Tiger
nothing
King,
to do with
though.
what we're talking
But
about.
Tiger King,
Okay, so I told you to read the next one. So,
I'm not sure why I got this one.
Okay,
so
here you go.
for our gamers out there, you'll probably recognize that little caption there. It's from Resident Evil.
I am not a gamer.
Yeah. See, the umbrella was a symbol for the pharmaceutical company in Resident Evil. Resident Evil is a game where the people were virus took over and actually changed them all to zombies. Zombie-like creatures, it says, but they're zombies.
Okay,
So Resident Evil is, the whole premise of the game is you go around and you kill zombies.
okay.
Okay? And so, and like I said a few minutes ago, when this kind of all, like a weekend, everybody was all like, oh, where's the zombies? Where's the zombies? Apocalypse,
I don't get it.
So this is kind of probably playing a lot of that in there too.
So that first thing is the premise.
The premise around it, because the umbrella symbol there is for the game Resident Evil. Did you have the other one in there too?
I don't.
Okay, so actually,
I should, but I
the
don't.
tie-in was there was a company. This is the tie-in you saw out there from Wuhan that actually had a blue and white symbol for the umbrella.
The biotech lab.
The biotech labs. Okay, it's the biotech labs. However, I marked it here. The logo for the Umbrella Corporation is similar to the logo of the biotech company in China. However, this company no longer appears in operation and was not located in Wuhan, but the Chinese city at the center of the coronavirus outbreak, but in Shanghai, a city 500 miles to the east. So it was a similarity side, not quite there. Although the other one was, the other stretch on it was that in the game of Resident Evil, the name of the city is Raccoon City. Is that right?
Yeah.
Raccoon City, which is an anagram for Corona.
Is that?
Yeah.
An anagram?
Yeah.
How?
Corona and raccoon. You rearrange all the letters and
Is that an
Corona,
anagram?
Raccoon.
When you rearrange letters, that's an anagram?
Yeah.
What is it when you spell it? It spells the same way
That's
backwards.
something else. I forget that.
An anagram is you rearrange?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
That's what it says here.
Okay. So what's next?
So, but yeah.
Oh, so anyway, they thought that was another reason.
Yeah,
Like
so
that was a
they-
hidden message or
Yeah, it's
something.
like a hidden message.
Yeah, that's a stretch.
Yeah, it's a search. But also, if you look, raccoon has 2 C's in it.
Okay.
Corona has 1 C.
Oh, there it is. Look.
Yeah, there it is.
Okay.
So yeah, same type of
Awesome
symbol, just different
producer,
colors.
sure
But you know,
But that does look.
it does. Yeah.
That's you kind of wonder.
Well, the thing about video game, I mean, if you think about it, when they're creating stuff, you know, they kind of steal some stuff too. So they might have just somebody may have seen this in China and pulled it over to the game and just
I
changed
like
the color.
blue better.
I'm shocked.
Yeah. So that's cool. All right. So the next one is the one that actually is true. So Times Magazine.
Yeah.
So the whole thing is anybody can come out and say, you know, I told you so, I told you so. And we have a lot of people doing that now. I told you so. And so Times Magazine has maintained for a while. So we had a 2006? Be worried, be very worried. And they're talking about climate change. And 2017, we're not ready for the next pandemic warning. And we are now finding out, just to be blunt, from some emails that have been released, that there were a lot of warnings coming into, apparently, if this is to be believed, to be coming into the president and all that kind of stuff, about all kinds of, warnings. But my guess is, if they've been coming since 2006, everybody just kept thinking, kind of crying wolf maybe. But I mean, this global climate thing, what I've been told is the next big thing that they're really worried about is a big climate disaster.
Yeah.
And that's what could just send us over the edge. But these were real. These are correctly dated. And they really were predictive of the pandemic, right? And is there anything else on that you want to say?
No. Well,
and it said they went into it and they said that they warned, we aren't ready to keep America and the world safe from the next pandemic. Across China, the virus that could spark the next pandemic is already circulating. It's a bird flu called H7N9, and it's true to its name. It infects mostly poultry. Later, however, it started jumping from chickens to humans. I mean, they just walked you through it. And
that was the one from 2017?
Yeah, and then they said a 2018 historical overview of climate change science, reports from the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, a United Nations body for assessing blah, 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 said the realization that Earth's climate might be sensitive to the atmospheric concentration of gases that create a greenhouse effect is more than a century old. These increases in temperature are correlated with the increases in CO2 concentrations that have been measured and noted at least as far back as 1938. Likewise, occurrences of plagues and pandemics have been charted across many centuries of human history, and we have been aware for a long time that bacteria and viruses that cause diseases in other animals and species are capable of evolving to infect humans. Unfortunately, something that has also existed across the course of human history is our reluctance to bear the cost of preparing ourselves for dangers that we know are real but aren't more predictable in timing than someday this is going to happen. So it's prediction, but it's prediction based in fact, that it is sort of like we'll push it off for somebody else to worry about it, right?
Is it really a prediction though?
Well, it's
Or
a
kind of
warning.
more of a warning of
It's
like,
a warning.
hey,
It's a factually based, this is going to happen at some point.
yeah,
So it's not like a prophecy
right,
so much as this is some factually based data of what's going to happen.
yeah.
I think. So, and it did, right? So I want to know how though that the climate change, that's what I keep not totally understanding, is how the climate change is totally tied to the pandemic.
Well, I would think if you were, I mean, not as many people are working, supposedly. Not as many people are traveling, driving in their cars. So you would think like the CO2, for, from your car or whatever, machines, all that stuff is reduced.
No, I think it's healing the planet right
Yeah.
now. The planet's doing better. The oceans are doing better. The animals are doing better. But I was wondering what, how, how we were treating our planet caused it. Like how that was a warning sign of it, or if that was just a different warning.
I believe that would be just a different
I
warning.
don't know. Maybe somebody knows. Well, how much time do we have? So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. I thought maybe it could get people discussing, predictions. And again, there are different kinds of readers. There are those who do predict, and then those who are not predictive readers. I struggle with the fact of somebody who's not a predictive reader. I know some cannot say they're not predictive readers. I get that. You have to say legally, I can't. You have to say I'm for entertainment purposes
Yeah.
only. But if I'm going to go to a reader, I kind of want to know what they're predictive telling me, and that
Right.
kind of the point. But I'm sure there's people who have very strong opinions against
Well,
what I just said.
I guess it's also what are you going to the reader for? Because we get a lot of people that are not healings, but they want to know past issues that they've had that's affecting now, or affect even into the future type
Right.
stuff too. So you get a lot of that.
Well, and for me, I always think if you're going to do any type of predictive reading, you do course correcting. How can you fix this? How can you course correct? What is it because I don't believe anything's set in stone. We have free will, and you can look at it and go, okay, this isn't looking so good. So how are we going to course correct? Do I think that if we had predicted this, could we have course corrected? Yeah. We could have made it
Yeah.
a lot better than it was.
So can you predict me the lotto numbers?
No.
Oh,
So,
damn.
and I'll tell you why. And this may answer the question of this, because that is scattered energy. Okay, so if you think about it, there's all the people who, if you said, okay, I can predict the lotto numbers, all of those people, if every single person went to the lotto, got the lotto numbers, you're scattering that energy, and there's no point to that at all. And I have a better answer to that. That's the gist of it. It's just totally
Damn.
scattering the energy of all that. Everybody always asks that.
I wanted the lotto
first of all-
numbers.
And you can't do that. So I know you're asking a question that you know the answer to. I mean, maybe somebody can, but it's, first of all, I mean, I don't want to judge it, but here it comes. It's a better way to spend money. I remember when they said all that money was going to go into schools. I remember when they passed that law
Yeah.
in Texas.
Yeah.
Specifically. So by now, teachers should be making really good salaries
Yeah.
with all the money that has gone into lotteries that were supposed to go to schools. So I call complete and total bullshit on that. Prove me wrong. So
and there's that.
so that's just governmental mafia. The lottery. That's what that is.
And that's how we're ending the show tonight.
Okay. Fine with me.
What else you got?
What does that guy say on Tiger King? Fuck the feds. And they were like, you sure you want to say that? And he's like, yeah.
I like the other guy.
Free country. I can say that.
What the fuck do I care?
Are we over time and we can't read?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I hope you've enjoyed the show.
Thank you for joining us tonight.
And give your opinions on intuitive insights. If you have opinions, I know you all do. And I know you'll think it through more clearly than we did about everything about the types of readers and the type of reader you want to be and the type of reader you would want to have. But I will tell you this, I will continue to read because that's what I do, right?
Yep.
Even though I didn't predict a global pandemic. And thank goodness, because who would want to live with that, right? So anyway, anything else, Roger?
Nope.
All right, so that's it for this week.
See, I was going to yell, free Tiger King, but I figured
Don't.
y'all might freak on
After
that
you
one.
watch that, do you really want to free him?
I think
Is the
Trump's
music
going to.
playing already?
I think Trump's going to pardon him.
Trump's.
I think
Somebody
Trump's going to
asked
pardon
him
him.
about that.
I know.
It's like, really? That's what you, it's like, oh my gosh. But anyway, that's it for. So serious. We may have joked about Walmart and stuff, but you guys, honestly, stay inside.
Take care of yourself.
Do not go buy one strawberry at a time. That is ill-advised.
I'm not doing that.
Okay, so that's it for this week. You can listen to SoulWhat on Spotify, the iHeart Radio app, Google Podcasts, iTunes, and of course by watching live on YouTube at Michelle Soultopia and on both of our Facebook pages at SoulWhat and Soultopia Holistic Boutique. Thank you for listening to SoulWhat, where we discuss and you decide what is important to your soul. Good night.
Good night, guys.